Hi guys, welcome to another edition in the series on how to mix your beats. If you are new to this channel, welcome. Thanks for joining us. And if you hadn't had a chance to hit that subscribe button, please take a sec to do so right now, and also hit the notification bell so that you get regular updates whenever I post new content on this channel. Also follow me on my other social media pages to stay in touch. Today we'll be focusing on leveling or levels so that we can ensure that we start our mixes off on the right foot. I also suggest that if you haven't had a chance to check out the introduction video in the series, that you should please click the link in the above screen to check that out as soon as you're done watching this video. And at the end of this video, I will share with you guys some fire insights on referencing your mix. So watch till the end of this video to get the lowdown on that. So without any further ado, let's get right into the subject. So the very first thing I'd like to touch on today is gain staging. Now, gain staging is all about creating enough headroom in your mix, and this generally entails setting the levels of your individual instruments loud enough as to ensure a decent input level, but not also too loud that it's going to clip your stereo bus output and distort. Because you always want to leave sufficient headroom for the mastering engineer to do his or her biz. Now, I will expand a bit more on headroom in the episode on that subject, but I think giving it a mention in the beginning when you're starting your mix will prove to be beneficial later on, because as it is with all points on my checklist, they usually work together to make a good mix. Now, there are various ways one can gain stage, but I will just show you my preferred way. And the first thing that I usually do in my DAW, and I'm using Logic Pro X of course, but this is generally for everyone, doesn't matter which DAW you're working in. The first thing is to put every channel fader at unity gain. And unity gain is at 0 on your channel mixer. So you can see there it is, right there. And then next, I switch on the pre-fader monitoring, so I get to see in my mixing console how loud the input signal from my sound source or my regions is before it hits the channel fader, right? And to basically switch on pre-fader monitoring, you can go to the top panel of your main window, right-click and click Customize Control Bar and Display and select pre-fader monitoring. Then when you're switching on pre-fader monitoring, you can basically see on your console how it changes and puts the monitor first before it gets to the fader. Now, if you switch it off, you can see that basically the fader is ahead of the monitor. So there you go. If I'm doing it while still working in MIDI and it clips or is above -12 dB, I turn the plugin's gain volume level down on my sampler or MIDI instrument plugin. Likewise, if I find that the level is way too low and is below -18 dB, I turn it up. And basically you just go to your volume button or volume parameter, wherever that might be on your synth or your sampler, and you just go adjust it there. And if I'm working with audio, I usually do this. Click on the track or select the region, then go to the left side of your screen to the drop-down menu region, then go to gain, and depending on what your input level is, change the gain to compensate so it hits at between -18 dB and -12 dB on your channel fader. I also recommend putting a level meter on your stereo bus, set to peak and RMS level metering, and then set it to -12 dB, as well as a loudness meter set to -14 LUFS, since that value is best fitting for the loudness normalization settings of the majority of streaming services like your Spotify's and your Deezers, etc. Using the metering plugins that is provided in your DAW or any other third-party plugins that you prefer to use is basically essential when you're gain staging, because it helps in getting a more accurate overview of your leveling. So I will definitely recommend you guys use that, and don't skip that step. Next, I can go in and balance the individual levels or volumes of each channel relative to each other. So I ensure that no one instrument overpowers the other. And this is very important because, as we've mentioned in the introduction episode of this series, that, when your hats hit too loud, it's just disturbing, and it will totally unbalance the entire mix, or as it is with any other instrument for that matter. If it's too loud or too low and you can't hear it well, that is why this step should not be skipped, just to balance your individual instrument levels relative to each other. And one other thing that is equally important to mention is please keep a close eye on your stereo bus levels after adding compression and EQ, since these processes can also add level to your mix. Because if you need to make additional adjustments, it is very important to keep an eye on your stereo bus levels at all times, so it doesn't go into the red and it stays at, I would say, -7 up to -6 dBs. And of course, I cannot stress enough, guys, to listen to what is happening as well. Like we also said before in the introduction of this series, that no matter how much you know what the numbers we've just discussed means, -12 dBs, what that means for your mix, blah blah blah, it is always better to also make sure that you listen to what you are doing and that it sounds good to your ear. Now let's talk about the importance of referencing your mix. Referencing your mix by using an already mixed and mastered track that you want your beat to sound like is critical. This is also genre dependent, so make sure that if you are working, for instance, on a trap beat, that the track that you are using as a reference track is either a trap song or instrumental. Or if you're making a boom bap hip hop beat, use a boom bap hip hop beat as your reference track. Now you can also pull up a song from one of your favorite artists, or even go to one of the beat selling platforms like Airbit, Soundy or BeatStars, or whichever one that you prefer, and just check out how the biggest beat sellers mix their beats. I found it quite helpful myself. Another thing to remember is that it is also important to keep referencing your beat while you are mixing, so that you have a standard guideline to mix by. So that wraps up this episode in the series on how to mix your beats. And I've also included some very helpful information in the links in the description box for you guys to check out, just to get some more information on the subject. So please go ahead and check that out as soon as you have a conducive moment. And if you enjoyed this tutorial and you found it helpful, please subscribe and also hit the notification bell icon so that you get regular updates. And if you enjoyed it, please give it a like, a thumbs up as well. I would really appreciate that, of course. And if you have any questions or you would like to share your knowledge here, you are very welcome to do so. Just leave your comment in the comment section and I will get back to you ASAP. That's it from me. Thank you so much for watching, fam. I'll peep you guys in the next.